special WNBA draft episode of The Old Man and the Three is presented by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. When you hear those words, you can feel good knowing that State Farm is there to help you feel supported with the coverage you need for your car, your home, and even boats, motorcycles, RVs, and other things that matter to you. With a State Farm agent, you know someone is there to help protect your future by helping you choose the coverage you need. With so many insurance options, it feels good knowing you can find what fits for you. Maybe you like to handle things in person or on the phone with your local agent, or you prefer to do it on statefarm.com or on their award-winning app. State Farm lets you do things your way. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Welcome to a special episode of The Old Man and the Three. This is presented by our friends at State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. This is our live reaction to an historic WNBA draft. 2024 WNBA draft, the first round just finished. I, for one, am shocked that Caitlin Clark was drafted number 1 overall by the Indiana Fever. Only kidding, of course. You know, I think about this moment as it relates to other important moments in sports. If you have paid attention at all this college basketball season, you know that Caitlin Clark is a media driver. She is a ratings driver. I think about the NBA post Magic and Larry, the NBA post Michael Jordan, tennis post Serena Williams, golf post Tiger Woods, right? There are certain athletes that drive the sport more than others. And that's not to take away from anyone else drafted tonight. That's not to take away from the other incredible superstars in the WNBA right now. But the reality is, this is important for the WNBA. This is important for the game of basketball. And Caitlin Clark is a driver of attention and ratings. You look at the Indiana Fever. Indiana Fever will have 36 of their 40 games nationally televised. They were the second lowest team in terms of home attendance last year in the WNBA. They've already seen a spike in ticket sales. The WNBA commissioner has already announced they're going to add 2 more teams, and they hope to get to 16. Think about this for a second. Magic and Larry, they come in 1979. The NBA adds a 23rd franchise, the Dallas Mavericks, in 1981. Michael Jordan is drafted in 1984. Over the span of roughly 7 or 8 years, 6 more franchises were added, right? The Orlando Magic, Miami Heat, Minnesota Timberwolves, Charlotte Hornets, Toronto Raptors, Vancouver Grizzlies. All of that happened. The attention for the league, in some ways, can be directly traced back to Magic and Larry and Michael Jordan. Caitlin Clark is one of those type of athletes. And we have seen in the last 3 or 4 years, because of Asia Wilson, because of Kelsey Plum, because of Breanna Stewart, right? The list goes on. There are so many stars in the WNBA right now. The Las Vegas Aces, the New York Liberty, being super teams last year. Super teams, legit. Star players across the board. Chelsea Gray for the Las Vegas Aces. They drove ratings. Caitlin Clark is good for the game of basketball. She's good for the WNBA. And I cannot wait to see her play her rookie season. There's a number of other players that have been drafted tonight. I always say this around draft time, and I watched Angel Reese give her interview with Holly Rowe, as always, just so perfect and poignant, like she always is. Angel was emotional, and that has become more and more commonplace in the NBA draft as well. This is the start of the journey. The draft is not the end destination. All of these women drafted tonight will have, hopefully, an incredible career, but they will look back on tonight not as the end of something, but the beginning of their journey in the WNBA. And so I couldn't be more excited for the WNBA, where this league is headed across the board, where women's college basketball, WNBA, women's basketball is in such a good place right now. And it's because of the stars. And I have said this. I'll be honest. I have said this. It is the antithesis of how I view basketball. Basketball is a team sport. It is about the 5 people on the court working in cohesion, working in an organic way. But you need stars. You need stars. Stars attract eyeballs. Stars close games out. Stars put on performances that mere mortals like myself will never be capable of. And that's what makes the sport of basketball so beautiful. And Caitlin Clark is one of those stars. Her pairing with reigning WNBA Rookie of the Year, Aaliyah Boston, will be awesome. Aaliyah Boston, one of the most dominant, exciting young WNBA players on the interior, along with Caitlin Clark, who, of course, is one of the most dominant, exciting players in the sport today on the perimeter. So the two of them together, I couldn't be more excited to watch that pairing. The Indiana Fever have a bright, bright future. We're going to take a quick pause for our mid-roll presented by State Farm.
When you get a new car or a new home, to get the insurance help you need, just say the jingle. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. State Farm is there with the coverage you need for your car, your home, and even boats, motorcycles, RVs, and other things that matter to you. With State Farm, you have options to fit your unique needs, which means you can talk to your agent to choose the coverage you need, have coverage options to protect the things you value most, file a claim right on the State Farm mobile app, or reach a real person when you need to talk to someone. So when you need help protecting the things that matter most, remember to say, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
All right, some other notable picks in tonight's WNBA draft. Cameron Brink from Stanford went number 2. Kamilla Cardosa went number 3. Rukia Jackson, J.C. Sheldon went 4 and 5. Aaliyah Edwards, a standout player from UConn, who in most mock drafts was a top 5 pick, went number 6 to the Washington Mystics. Angel Reese, 7. I want to do a little analysis here of neighborhood, of being a good neighbor. There's a lot to say when buying a new car or home, but only one thing to say: they can help you protect them. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And just like that, State Farm is there to help you choose the coverage you need. I want to talk about Caitlin Clark in a second, because I think she's a good neighbor. But I also want to talk about the Chicago Sky, who just drafted 2 incredible interior forces in Kamilla Cardosa and Angel Reese. That pairing, with their size, athleticism, defensive prowess, will be incredible. And they're obviously going to be neighbors, literally neighbors. But what a get for the Chicago Sky in the first round to draft those 2 players. Cardoso, of course, coming off a national championship with the South Carolina Gamecocks and Don Staley, undefeated season. Angel Reese won a national championship last year, had another great season this year. The thing with Angel Reese, because there's been some videos posted on social media lately of her working out here in New York, making threes or whatever. I think one of the best trackers for shooting, and she's got a little bit of work to do on her form. One of the best trackers for shooting is free throw percentage. And she was up to 73% this year. I think she has a chance to expand her game and potentially provide a level of spacing for Cardoso in that front line for the Chicago Sky. But I absolutely love that pairing. An incredible night for the Chicago Sky. Cameron Brink, of course, an All-American from Stanford, another star, someone who also has had a lot of attention around her, specifically with some NIL deals, and she's going to be a star as well. And then there's Caitlin Clark, who is a good neighbor. The one thing, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that I took away from the last two seasons in watching. Again, I don't watch college basketball in general the way I watch the NBA, but in watching a lot of men's and women's college basketball, what stood out to me about Caitlin Clark is the fact that she really made her teammates better. Oftentimes we get fixated on great players and the thing they do best, right? Steph Curry, we fixate on his three-point shooting. Nikola Jokic, we fixate on his passing. The best players are so well-rounded and versatile. Let's not forget Nikola Jokic. He can score the basketball. Let's not forget Steph Curry, for most of his career, has averaged over 5 rebounds, over 5 assists. His gravity so important for the Golden State Warriors. When I watch Caitlin Clark play, there's so many facets to her game that make her teammates better. Of course, the gravity and attention on and off the ball, but she is an elite passer, both in transition and in the half court. Rebecca Lobo, during the tournament, she always talked about the get-ahead pass. I call it the throw-ahead pass, but whatever, semantics. Jokic is so good at that. Lonzo Ball is so good at that. Sue Bird. Oh, my gosh. Sue Bird was one of the best players that I ever watched with that get-ahead or throw-ahead pass. And Caitlin Clark is that. If Leah Boston's running the floor and Caitlin Clark's throwing that pass, Indiana Fever are going to have a lot of success in transition. Again, State Farm, when you have any questions on coverage options, your State Farm agent is there to help on the phone or in person. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Let's talk briefly, just real quick, about this coming WNBA season. Women's college basketball, WNBA, it's something that I've watched for a lot of times. I've told you guys this before. I have 3 sisters. They all played Division I college basketball. And I grew up, going to AAU tournaments, watching my older sisters play. And then later on, when I was in college and then in the NBA, watching my younger sister in high school and college and AAU tournaments. I've always loved the game. One of my first memories was actually the UNC women's team winning the national championship back in the 90s. Remember Cynthia Cooper, Cheryl Swoops, the great Houston Comets teams. I would say this. I'm as excited as I've ever been to watch the WNBA this coming season, particularly with the way that last season went, the Commissioner's Cup, the Liberty winning that, beating the Aces coming back in the finals, beating the Liberty to claim their second straight WNBA championship. Asia Wilson, one of the most dominant players in WNBA history, and Breanna Stewart, of course, with another historic season. Where we're at in the game right now, there are so many stars, there are so many good teams, and this rookie class has only added to the allure of the WNBA. Congratulations to all of the first-round picks. Congrats to all of the women that we drafted in the second round. And like I said, I can't wait for this WNBA season. Thanks again to State Farm for sponsoring this segment. Again, when you have questions on coverage, your State Farm agent is there to help on the phone or in person. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Thanks, guys.
Thanks again to our partners, State Farm. And always remember those words that make you feel good. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.